We adopted a rescue dog with a history of trauma. He was gentle, quiet, and loved our daughter. One afternoon, our neighbor called animal control screaming that he charged her. They took him away. A week later, she posted a picture online, our dog, behind a cage, with the caption, "Got him." We were heartbroken. But my daughter had something, her walkie-talkie, still recording from the morning walk. And on that tape, you could hear the neighbor whispering, "Just bark already, so I can call them." That recording changed everything, and opened a lawsuit we never planned to file. We live in a small neighborhood on the south edge of Eugene, Oregon. Quiet, nothing fancy. Most people here know each other by first name, wave from across the street, maybe chat while mowing the lawn. My wife Dana and I moved here 4 years ago to give our daughter, Holly, a calmer life. She's 8. Sweet, quiet. She keeps to herself, but she's got this way with animals. Always has. That's why when we decided to get a dog, we went to the local shelter and asked for one that might not get picked. One that needed a second chance. That's how we met Bo. Bo was a big dog, maybe some pit, maybe some mastiff, but gentle. Not loud. Not jumpy. His record said he'd been abused. Badly. Scars on his back legs. Tail bent in the middle. He would flinch if someone raised a hand too fast. The shelter workers warned us. They said he needed a calm home. Someone patient. We took him home the same day. Within a month, he was part of our family. Slept on the rug next to Holly's bed. Followed her from room to room. Never barked. Never growled. Not once. He wasn't perfect. He was nervous around new people, especially loud ones. But he never showed a single sign of aggression. Not even when the neighbor's yappy dog got loose and ran circles around him. Bo just sat down and waited. We always kept him leashed on walks. Always supervised. Always gentle. Then there was Sharon. Sharon lived 2 doors down. Early 60s, retired, alone. She kept her yard perfect and acted like she ran the block. First time she saw Bo, she frowned. "Is that safe?" she asked, not even looking at me, just staring at the leash. "He's a rescue," I told her. "He's been through a lot, but he's sweet. Never had an issue." She didn't answer. Just gave that tight smile and went back inside. That was 9 months before everything happened. It was a Tuesday. I remember because Holly had her half-day at school. Dana was at work, and I was home doing dishes. Holly asked if she could take Bo for a walk around the block. I said sure, as long as she brought her walkie-talkie. She got them for her birthday a few weeks before, pink plastic ones with a long antenna. She liked pretending she was on patrol. One clipped to her jacket, one stayed on the kitchen counter, usually silent unless she pressed the button. She left, Bo beside her, tail wagging. 15 minutes later, the doorbell rang. 2 guys in uniform. Animal control. They said there had been a report that our dog had aggressively charged a neighbor and posed a danger. I thought they had the wrong house. "No," one of them said. "The complaint specifically named the child walking the dog. Described the dog's appearance and behavior. The report says he tried to attack someone." I just stared at him. "I don't understand," I said. "That doesn't make sense. Bo doesn't even bark." "He's afraid of garbage trucks." The officer didn't care. He said they had to take the dog into custody while they looked into the incident. Standard procedure. Investigation. I asked if I could go with them. I asked if Holly could say goodbye. They said no. Bo didn't even resist. They clipped a second leash to his collar and let him out. He looked back at us, confused. Tail down. Holly was crying. Dana came home early. I had to explain what happened 3 times before she stopped asking. "But why?" I called the shelter we got Bo from. I called the vet. I called the number the animal control guys gave me. No one could help. They said we had to wait. 3 days passed. then 4. On the 5th day, one of our neighbors, a woman named Carla who lived across the street, sent Dana a screenshot. It was Sharon's Facebook. A photo of Beau. Caged. Behind cold metal bars. His ears were down, eyes looking up at the camera. And underneath, in big bold letters, "Got him." Like it was a trophy. That's when I felt something snap. This wasn't about safety. This wasn't about fear. This was planned. She wanted him gone. She lied to make it happen. And then Holly came to me with her walkie-talkie. "Dad," she said, "I think it was still recording." I hadn't even thought of that. She had clipped it to her jacket, and the walkie-talkies had a function that picked up sound and repeated it back when the other one was on. I went to the counter, picked up the other one, pressed play on the saved message. There was wind. Footsteps. Beau's leash clinking. And then, clear as day, a voice. Sharon's voice. "Just bark already," she whispered. "So I can call them." My heart stopped. She was trying to provoke him. She wanted him to snap. Only he didn't. And she lied anyway. I took the tape and uploaded it to my laptop. Saved a copy. Then another. Sent one to my brother, who's a paralegal down in California. He called me back 20 minutes later. "You've got her," he said. "That's evidence of malicious intent. She used false information to initiate a seizure of property. You need a lawyer." That night, I sat with Dana at the kitchen table, the laptop between us. Holly was asleep. I played the tape again. And again. Each time I heard Sharon whisper those words, the rage inside me burned hotter. This wasn't over. We were going to get Beau back. And Sharon was going to pay. We found a lawyer the next morning. His name was Miles Haskett. Mid-40s, sharp dresser, plain talker. Used to be a prosecutor. Now he works civil cases, wrongful claims, property disputes, that kind of thing. He didn't blink when we played him the walkie-talkie recording. "Yeah," he said. "That'll do it." I expected him to tell us we could maybe sue for the cost of the adoption or get Beau back sooner. But he leaned forward, eyes locked on mine. "She didn't just lie," he said. "She made a false report that resulted in the removal of a family pet. Emotional distress. Malicious intent. Possibly defamation, depending on what she told other people." He paused. "This isn't just a fight to get your dog back. This is a lawsuit." That was when I realized just how big this was going to get. He had us write statements. He asked Dana for the vet records and adoption paperwork. He sent an official letter to Animal Control demanding Beau's immediate return, citing false pretenses and recorded evidence. He also filed an emergency motion with the county court. That same night, Carla, the neighbor who sent us the screenshot, came by. She looked shaken. "You need to know," she said. "Sharon's been talking about your dog for weeks. Telling people he was dangerous. That it was only a matter of time. She even said once that she could get him removed if she had to. I didn't think she was serious. I asked if she'd be willing to say that in court. She nodded. I hate drama, she said, but what she did isn't right. Things moved fast after that. Sharon must have heard we were lawyering up, because the Facebook post vanished. Her page went private. But it was too late. We had the screenshot. Then Animal Control responded. They said Beau would be released back into our custody, pending further review. They tried to save face, claiming it was a misunderstanding, and that protocols were followed. Whatever. When I drove to pick him up, Beau came out of the kennel shaking. His fur was matted. He'd lost weight. When he saw me, he dropped to the floor, tail between his legs, like he thought he'd done something wrong. I knelt down and put my forehead against his. "You're coming home," I whispered. Holly cried when she saw him. He didn't leave her side for the rest of the night. But it wasn't over. Not even close. The day after Beau came back, we were served. Sharon filed a restraining order against us. She claimed we were harassing her. That we were threatening and unstable. That our vicious animal had been released because of a legal loophole, and she now feared for her safety. It was complete fiction. But it meant we couldn't go near her house. She was trying to flip the story. Make herself the victim. Miles told us to stay calm. Let her dig, he said. And dig she did. She started putting up signs around the block. Dangerous dog on the loose. She even made a flyer with a grainy photo of Bo behind the cage and left copies in people's mailboxes. But the neighborhood had started to turn. Carla talked. So did the Johnsons across the street. People who'd seen Bo on walks. People who knew Holly. People who'd heard Sharon ranting about the dog before. One by one, they came forward. Meanwhile, our lawsuit was gaining steam. Miles filed for damages, emotional distress, false claims, defamation. He even tacked on a request for Sharon to cover the legal fees. When we asked if we were going too far, he just shook his head. She knew what she was doing, he said. She wanted to hurt your family. The court date was set for 5 weeks later. And right before it, something new happened. An anonymous tip got sent to Miles's office. A typed letter, no return address. No signature. Just a note. She did the same thing 5 years ago in Lincoln City. Different dog. Same story. She got that one killed. Miles started digging. And what he found changed everything. Miles didn't waste time. He drove to Lincoln City himself, just 2 hours from us, and pulled the public records. Turns out the letter was right. 5 years ago, Sharon had lived in a small neighborhood just off Highway 101. She'd filed a complaint against her neighbor's dog, an older black lab named Tucker. The story was nearly identical. She said the dog charged her, claimed it was aggressive and vicious. Animal control took the dog. The family fought it, but by the time things cleared up, Tucker had already been euthanized. No charges were filed. No lawsuit. The family didn't have the money to fight back. Miles came back with copies of that report and a name, Ellen Monroe. She was the dog's owner. Widowed, 2 kids. Still lived in town. He called her and asked if she talked to us. She did more than that. She drove to Eugene. Ellen sat at our dining room table, holding a faded photo of her dog. She'd kept it in her wallet all these years. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. She lied, Ellen said. Just like she did to you. My dog never hurt anyone. He was old. He could barely get up the stairs. But she hated him. Said he barked too much. Said he scared her. Then one day, he was gone. She looked at Bo, curled up on the rug. I wish I'd had proof. I'm glad you do. Miles added her sworn statement to the file. That was the final piece. We had a pattern. Proof of intent. History. And motive. But Sharon wasn't done yet. A few nights before the court date, I woke up to a banging sound outside. I looked through the window and saw someone sprinting across our lawn. When I got outside, I found our fence gate wide open. Bo's leash, normally hanging by the door, was on the ground in the yard. He was still in the house, sleeping. She tried to let him out. Tried to make it look like we were being careless. If he'd run off, it would have been our word against hers. But she messed up. Again. We had just installed a motion sensor camera 2 days earlier, on the advice of Miles. And it caught everything. A woman in a hoodie. Hood fell back briefly as she turned. Clear as day. Sharon. I gave the footage to Miles. He took it straight to the judge, filed an emergency complaint. The judge issued a no-contact order against Sharon. She was barred from coming within 200 feet of our house or Holly's school. 2 days later, we were in court. I sat there with Dana on one side, Holly next to her. Bo stayed at home with a sitter. Miles presented everything: the walkie-talkie tape, the Facebook post, Carla's statement, Ellen's statement, the Lincoln City report, and the security footage. Sharon showed up with a new haircut and a bright pink sweater. Tried to look harmless. She brought her own lawyer, a slick guy in an expensive suit. But he had nothing real to work with. He argued we were exaggerating. Said Sharon was concerned for public safety. Said she never meant for Bo to be harmed. Then Miles played the tape again. Just bark already. So I can call them. You could hear it in the courtroom. The way her voice dripped with satisfaction. The judge didn't say anything at first. Just stared at Sharon for a long time. Then he said something I'll never forget. You didn't just file a false report. You set a trap. And if this family hadn't caught it, they might have lost their dog forever. But even then, the case wasn't over. Because during recess, a man walked up to Miles outside the courthouse. Said he recognized Sharon. That he was from Roseburg. That she used to live next to his brother. And guess what? Same story. Another dog. Another complaint. Another family devastated. Only this time, he still had the vet records. We weren't just Sharon's latest victims. We were part of a pattern. We had no idea how deep this went. The man from Roseburg, his name was Joe Kelman, wrote out a sworn statement that same day. His brother's dog, a collie mix named Ginger, had been the third victim. Quiet, gentle, older. Sharon had only lived there for 6 months before it happened. She told animal control the dog barked and lunged. Claimed it snapped at her grandchild. Joe said she didn't even have grandkids. Ginger was taken and held for 2 weeks. When the Kelmans finally got her back, she was sick and scared. She died a month later from stress-related complications, according to the vet. That made 3. 3 families. 3 dogs. Years apart. Different towns. All with the same woman. Same story. Same ending, until us. Miles filed to add the new testimony as part of a character pattern. The judge agreed to include it. And Sharon? She just kept digging. She tried to file a counterclaim. Said Holly was traumatizing her by parading the dog up and down the street. Said we were spreading libelous rumors and rallying the neighborhood to destroy her reputation. Nobody believed it. Not after the photos, the statements, and the security footage. Not after people saw Bo trotting beside our daughter like a living teddy bear. Not after they remembered what she posted. Got him. The court gave us everything we asked for. $37,000 in damages. A court order preventing Sharon from owning animals or filing complaints without proof. A formal note added to her record, pattern behavior. False reporting. And most importantly, a public admission, under oath, that she lied. That part didn't come easy. She tried to dodge. Her lawyer fought it. But Miles wouldn't budge. He said we needed that statement for the record. So Sharon sat there on the stand, red-faced and furious, and said the words. I made the report based on what I wanted to happen. Not what actually did. That was the moment I felt the anger leave me. But it didn't end there. Her Facebook post got leaked to a local animal rights group. Then a bigger one picked it up. Within a week, her name was in articles. Serial dog complainant. That's what they called her. People started posting their own stories. Others who remembered her, who maybe hadn't spoken up until now. She'd done more damage than we knew. She put her house up for sale 2 months later. Moved out overnight. Didn't say goodbye to anyone. Some folks said it was cruel. That we embarrassed her too much. That maybe we should have let it go after we got Bo back. But here's the thing. She was never going to stop. Not with guilt. Not with shame. Not even with fear. We were just the first family who fought back hard enough. And as for us? Bo still sleeps beside Holly's bed. He flinches less now. Wags more. Chases squirrels. Sometimes he watches the street like he remembers. Sometimes I do too. But now, when I hear barking outside, I don't get nervous. I just smile. Because I know it's not Sharon calling anyone. It's just a dog being a dog. And finally, safe.